Hey, I'm David, and I'm hanging with Pete on the Break It Down show.
Man, your house is fancy, and you,
Welcome.
yeah. Well, this is one of the benefits of getting to do this is I get to go and I get to be in your guys's space, and there's a comfort to that. I've been running around like a madman, because LA traffic denied me about 15 extra minutes of setup time. But I'm super excited to talk to you. I'm super excited about this project. I am a huge fan of love,
Ah,
and we had a couple years back. I think it was during the pandemic. There was a thruple down in San Diego where there was a doctor and then two
just
other.
one? Just
Well,
one throuple?
but they were the first one to have a California judge legally say, like, "Hey, you three men get to raise this kid and now another kid," and when you on the surface, you're like, what the hell? What's even a thruple, right? But then you start to hear them talk about the community they've built around these kids, and this is just a community of love. It's understanding, and we've come so far. I'm 53, right? So in my lifetime, I've the changes in what is love is dramatic, and what is normal and what is accepted, and it's just really incredible. And you've got this amazing project that I can't wait to talk about: 100 Years of Men in Love, the Accidental Collection. So I'd love for you to kind of set up the three characters from your documentary, if you would, the couple, and then also the collection, and let's talk about that, and we'll go from there.
Well, it's interesting, Pete. The collection was brought together by Hugh, Nini, and Neal Treadwell. Those two gentlemen started with one picture. One picture, they thought they'd never find another picture like this, but it was clearly a picture that showed two men in a relationship and sharing some. They focus in on the eyes, and when you look at the eyes, it's unmistakable that these gentlemen are in love with each other. They found one picture and they thought, oh, well, this will probably be the only picture we will ever see that will document two men. Well, 3,700 pictures more. Their collection is from 1859 to 1959. So I had my own origin with this project. I was going through a box of photographs when I was a little boy. And I said, Mom and Dad, what is this old tintype? What's this tintype? I mean, obviously they're two handsome men with their legs crossed towards each other.
Yeah.
Their shoulders are touching. And we see them holding a little placard that says Bourbon Fair 1908. This is a tintype, which was very cheap and popular back in those days. And I said, Mom and Dad, what is this picture? And they said, oh, David, it's your great uncle and his friend. And I said, okay. Well, all these years later, it held such wonderment. And I said, I want to know about these two guys. I want to know more about these two guys. Well, then I ran across Hugh and Neal's collection, and I knew exactly what this was. That this was part of my ancestry. These two gentlemen were in a relationship, a loving relationship. So I called Neal and Hugh up, and I said, I feel that your collection of 3,700 photos, just like this, would make an amazing TV special documentary. And do you want to work with me? And they said, absolutely. They gave me all 3,700 photos.
Wow.
And I culled them down to 350, which are in 100 Years of Men in Love, the Accidental Collection. And we have 350 of them. But these photos were found in shoeboxes, in attics, in rummage stores, antique stores. And I found one of my own, and it solved a mystery for myself. And that's how this project came about.
I love it. Got to do my own switching here. And so the movie is great. As you go through, there's like a effervescent kind of timeless effect that you put on the pictures. Recently, we found we had like an old great uncle pass away a few years back, and then his son is like, "Hey, I have all this archival stuff, and we have tintypes in there." And these pictures, and I don't know if it's because they're tintypes or the clothes or something, but these images, it's just like in what is that movie with Robin Williams when he goes back to New York, that school? It's when he talks about Seize the Day, and they talk about the pictures talking to you. These pictures speak to you, right? And they are trying to tell you this story, and you're just like, you're desperately trying to hear the story. You may never know the person's name or anything. And the story that these pictures are saying is, as men were in love 100, 120, 140 years ago, and obviously before that, but there's actual evidence they took time to record this at great peril to them.
Oh, absolutely. These gentlemen were risking everything, their livelihoods, their exposure to being imprisoned. Yet they felt it was important enough to capture that moment with someone they loved for posterity. And I think to our young people today, when we say we stand on their shoulders, we absolutely do.
Yeah.
Because they showed us the way. They always talk about, well, we should pass on the torch. Well, when you pass on the torch, you're actually standing in the darkness.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is ignite other people's torches so they can carry forward. These gentlemen in this TV special actually showed us how to love, how to be intimate. The special really is a history of photography as well. I mean, we start with tintypes, and then we go to, well, let's look at photo booths. Photo booths, you could go in there, close that curtain, and be with your loved one. There was no photographer, no developer.
Right.
Those pictures would be spit out of the machine, and they were yours. And now where do those pictures go? Some of the pictures that we found were pristine. They were like on a mantle, like they were revered. Other pictures were folded and creased and shoved into wallets and hidden.
Yeah.
We expose one couple during World War II. They were a part of the 42nd Infantry, and they were part of the company that liberated Dachau.
Right.
Well, they helped liberate Dachau, and then they went up into the Swiss Alps, and they took pictures and they exchanged rings. This couple continued to be a couple, and the nephew of one of the gentlemen said, my uncle would go into the top shelf of their closet, bring down this box of this box of pictures, and go through the pictures and say, this is my lover during World War II. This is my lover during World War II. And the nephew, it's our only living connection with these 350 pictures. The nephew to this day still wears that ring that they exchanged up in the Swiss Alps. I mean, that is pretty amazing to think that history shifts down to our young people. That infantry division, by the way, was named the Rainbow Division.
Yeah.
I mean, go figure.
It's
the Rainbow Division.
So great.
And two guys who fell in love and went up the Swiss Alps and exchanged rings.
Yeah.
We have another section in the TV special that exposes umbrellas. There seems to be something in the late 1800s where people would take pictures under umbrellas, and these are in our TV special. Well, when you think about why an umbrella, well, you're holding the stem together of the umbrella, so your hands are touching. You're close. The umbrella shields them from onlooking eyes from people, and they can be a little more intimate because they've got this umbrella covering them. We feel that the umbrella probably was the rainbow flag of their day.
Right. Yeah. Why not? It's the 82nd Airborne Division is now the Rainbow Division, and
that's right, because you're military.
Yeah, I was military, and here's the nickname for it: All American. And this is exactly right. Like, we're all Americans, and you do know that there's a lot of military pictures in there. A lot of men that do. You're in this time of peril whatever you're doing in war. And you do need some kind of closeness. Now, maybe it's buddies, but if you're inclined, it can be a real relationship of love and intimacy, like that we don't think of commonly. You know, we talk about the end of World War II. You picture the dude with the nurse or whatever, you know, and he bends her over.
Kissing, yeah.
Yeah, but 2 feet away, there's two men that are in love and kissing, and I'm not saying in that photo, but I'm saying in that crowd.
I think that's an interesting perspective, and we certainly delve into that in
Yeah.
this collection. When you are in peril, when your
Mhm.
life may be taken from you
Yeah,
in a moment, why not choose that moment to be authentic? To
Mhm.
be authentic to yourself and authentic to the love of someone else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what this TV special captures. It honors those people who are in love.
Yeah.
You know, and we take a lot of time with each picture. It's not just a montage, as
Right.
you said. We get to zoom in and feel
Yeah.
and imagine, go into the time period, whether it be, 1890, 1910, 1922, whatever. We actually get to slip in to that moment. And I find that, the film has won like 20 film festivals. And when I'm standing in the back of the theater and I see 200 people or 300 surrender to the film, it's very experiential. They don't know what they're getting into. They think, accidental collection, what is this? But I feel them just surrender because it's immersive. The film is immersive. I had one woman come up to me and she said, David, oh my God, I wish to God I had some man in my life that ever looked at me the way these men are looking at each other.
Love it.
And first of all, I said, oh my, darling, how sad for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about because people respond to love.
Yeah.
And it's in the picture. And
Yeah.
these people are showing it. These people in this TV special are showing us the way. They showed us the way at great peril.
The peril part is great, and I want to. There's so many things I want to talk to you about, but let's talk about the peril. So, in the early 1900s, Tchaikovsky, the great composer, he is found out as being homosexual. And it was like a loose thing, but when the right people found out, ultimately, he had to kill himself by their directive, right? And so this is the peril that these men are in. And so some of these pictures, you talk about the umbrella, you also portray like the shielding that friends do. So like, hey, let's give these guys not a stolen moment, a protected moment. And we talk about climbing on the shoulders of people. And you also have the guys that are like, I'll be in the picture, but I'm going to turn my head.
Right.
And so all of these things
couldn't quite do it.
Right.
And we're not judging those guys.
Right. Because this is the time. And again, that's why I started off with Tchaikovsky, because it can kill you. It can be horrible. And you're already torturing yourself because you're trying to figure all this stuff out and you're terrified all that. I mean, there's so many barriers in this world. So talk about that aspect too, the shielding, the hiding, the protecting, the families that are often in these things. And I say family, the group of people that love these people, I consider that a family.
We would call them allies. Today,
right. Okay.
LGBTQ allies. One of my favorite pictures in the TV special, two young gentlemen, they're 18, 19, really, really young. And we have a whole series of these guys. One is holding the umbrella, but another one and just like these guys are holding Bourbon, Indiana, 1908. And by the way, my dad was born in Bourbon, Indiana in 1926.
Wow. Okay.
But these two gentlemen in this picture hold a placard that says, not married, but willing to be.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, well, that placard was normally picked up as a prop, and the photographer would take the picture, and it would be a young lady and a young man, not married, but willing to be. These two brave young people said, our love matters. We're going to document this love. And they held that sign that said, not willing to be married.
And I'm putting that picture up right now. Everybody in the show is looking at that picture right now.
It's such a sweet picture.
Yeah. That looking, I wish somebody looked at me like that. So you guys start.
This is women, everybody's
Yeah.
responding to this film.
Right.
But I thought, like I said, I thought it was a sad commentary on the woman's
Yeah.
life. You know, maybe she will find someone
Yeah.
that will look like that into her eyes.
And hopefully we all do, because we all want and deserve love, right? I mean, gosh, I was reading. I've really been into the Apostle Paul, not for religious reasons, but for the philosophical reasons, and he is a grand master of love. Right? And just reading all these quotes and kind of preparing myself for the frame of mind to be in. But this thing about being looked at. So when the movie starts, you know, it's easy to kind of reject these things as like a base principle, like, oh, I'm going to be grumpy and angry, right? And then you do a really clever thing. You show two dudes in what easily could be a buddy pose, easily, and then you're like, wait, hold on, their pinkies are touching, you know, their legs are entwined. Like this is, oh wait, his hand's not just around his waist.
Straight men would do that.
Right. And you know, maybe you do it for a gag or something, but all of these things, and then there's that intimacy that they're portraying. You know, like it can be the hand is just a little further around the waist. It's these things. You're like, well, that's an intimate pose, and so you don't show it at first. Like you're like, yeah, look, here are these guys, and you're like, yeah, those are two dudes. But then you pan down, and you're like, oh, wait a second, and then you pan down further, and you're like, oh, come on, these guys are in love, and I think this is part of this releasing of and getting into the film, right? It's a genius thing. How did you come up with that? That's what I'm dying to know.
Well, I feel that it was there, first of all. It's just an examination of the picture. We first start with the eyes, and you can see, but then you're right. You can say, oh, well, you know, maybe there's this really, really close friend.
Right.
And they're looking into each other's eyes. But then when you examine the picture, and then in the film, we close in, we show. And that's one of my favorite pictures, two guys on the back of a train car, like in the early 1900s. And nothing's, you know, nothing, they're kind of leaning in towards each other, but their hands are both on the rail and their pinkies are touching.
Yeah.
You know, and then that says it.
Says
it. And you know, you talk about what we know of these pictures. During the film, if there was something written on the back of the picture, then I'm an actor. I narrated those writings on the back of the picture. And one of my favorites was there's a picture of two gentlemen in a carriage, and it's being pulled by a horse. And the one guy has his arm around the other guy. And on the back of that photo is written, here's a glimpse of a little part of my life you may not know about.
Yeah.
He was telling everyone, all his loved ones, here's a glimpse of a little part of my life you may not know about. The beauty of this film is that these gentlemen don't have a voice anymore.
Yeah.
Yet they were brave enough, courageous enough to do what they did, to capture. And when we go to maybe a spiritual level, I would feel and I would hope that they're looking down and saying, you know what? We stuck our necks out, we took that picture, and 100 plus years later, they're able to send us a sign that their love mattered.
Yeah.
And more importantly, that our love matters and our expression. Ever since working on this film, every time I take a picture now, I think about, you know, in 100 years, who's going to be looking at this picture?
Right.
And the interpretations and what message do I want to say?
Yeah.
But it's the authenticity of the sheer joy that these gentlemen captured that I feel really comes through in this TV special.
Going back to the security thing and the comparison, like we have in our mindset that like I'm going to take a picture or two here while we're talking, right? I may use them, I may not. You know, it's like let me get some things to do, and pictures have become very disposable, and they've also become very not personal, but like it's about me. That's what I'm for sure going to look back at the camera and go there and take a selfie with you in the background while you're talking, right? Because this is sort of what pictures are. This is not the case 140 years ago. It's not the case 120 years ago. You know,
no, these were rare.
Right.
Take a picture to have the capacity and the equipment.
Not everybody even got to take a picture.
Right.
So when you see these things, these are very purposeful things. And if there is a message, and who knows if they're thinking 100 years into the future, but possessing this thing as the gay man, even that is dangerous, right? So they're like spending good money.
No wonder it was in a shoebox
Right.
or
Yeah.
stuffed in a wallet. Right?
Yeah. And so those thoughts, as you go through that and you think about what is the message and what would these guys say? What would Dickie say if he was sitting here? He'd be like, it never occurred to me that this thing would be in a movie, because it never occurred to them.
Right.
It never occurred to them. But there is a message in that.
It's coming down through the ages. You know, we do feel that we, speaking of selfies, you refer to selfies. We do feel that we captured the first selfie ever.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we included. There we go.
I just did it. I took my selfie.
we included it in the TV special.
Yeah.
They're two gentlemen with their arms around each other, leaning in close, and they have a camera with a some type of contraption where they're able to push the button, but they're shooting it into a mirror.
Yeah.
So literally, that was the first selfie.
Yeah.
They are looking into the mirror. We call it looking into the mirror, and we say it's the first selfie. It's literally also a history of photography, because if you think about 1859 to 1959, that is the history of photography. I want to go back for a minute
Please.
to those narrations behind the pictures. There's another picture of two gentlemen sitting close together in a living room, and it's in the 50s, and it had been colorized. Remember how they kind of took pictures and made them colorized? And on the back of that photo, it says, "Here's your Uncle Bill and his friend Bob."
Yes.
Bob liked horses. He rode them in parades. Your dad says that they're both queer as ducks. That was written on the back of the, obviously somebody else, some woman is mother of this child that, said, here's our history, honey. They're both queer as ducks.
Right.
So I feel that by bringing those narrations, what is written on the back of those films, it adds another element of closeness, of getting into the world of that picture, because somebody commented on it, or the lovers in the photos commented on it.
There's an anthropological aspect to this, and historical too, because those guys were in San Francisco, and so you think, well, we know that San Francisco has this long tradition of being very open to homosexual relationships. They have an entire district of town, and you start to think, well, how far back does this go? Like, it doesn't just start like in 1962 or something. Like, this has a lineage. There's a call, like, hey, this is a place to come to. There's letters written. There's like Van Gogh painting to Gauguin, Gauguin painting to Van Gogh, like, hey, come down to Marseille. Look how great it is down here, right? Those things absolutely happened. And there's this history that hopefully over time we'll get more of this stuff. And we'll get more about the umbrella. Maybe someone wrote a letter to somebody. And in some ways, I see your wonderful work as an amplification of this history and of these other things that we now know are out there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope that we can contribute to messaging to be authentic. Here TV, the film appears on Here TV. Here TV is the prominent LGBTQ network in our country, and they pride themselves on authentic storytellers telling authentic stories. When we think about the acceptance, though, do you know that 74% of Americans agree that same-sex relationships and marriages should be the law of the land? That just happened with Biden's Respect for Marriage Act that went in just recently. We think of 74% of Americans agreeing on anything. I mean, when does that ever happen?
Never.
74%.
I don't even agree with you about that.
But then 26%, that leaves it 26% are out there. And then the same poll says, well, 13% of those 26% don't have an opinion either way. So now we're only dealing with 13% of Americans who have, and I'm not judging at all, because I don't judge. I try not to judge. people have different beliefs and different feelings, but that's what we're talking about in this particular instance.
I'm putting the link for the show for Here TV up on the screen for everybody. Just look in the Facebook comments or YouTube, and you'll see the link, and that link should work
They
for
go
you
to
guys.
here.tv.
Yeah, here.tv. Yeah.
.tv.
And
Here TV is available on all cable and satellite systems across
Right.
the country, and then all streaming platforms across the country. Just go to here.tv to find out who's the best for you.
yeah, so everybody check out that link. That I want to go back to the amplification of history. Has anything come up since because the collection, I'm assuming, is ongoing. These guys aren't stopping this, right? So is anything inbound now, instead of them out and antique shops finding things? Are there things being like, hey, this is an archive for this kind of stuff?
It's interesting. The film is getting, like I said, we've won 20 film festivals. It's it's an installation in the Hollywood Museum here on the Vine and Highland. The Palm Springs Art Museum is having a fundraiser for the film coming up, because they really realized, and I was so honored that they said, we want your film, we want to show us, to dedicate an evening to your film for fundraising. They realized that it is an art installation.
Yeah.
It's not just a film.
Right.
It's something that, and that's not taking away from film, because film is art.
Yeah.
But this film is very immersive. It takes you on a trip and a journey, and it is information. So I thought it was really apropos that Palm Springs Museum is honoring it in such a way. So it is ongoing. Hugh and Neal keep collecting. Maybe we'll do another picture.
Yeah.
But I hate to hit the same note over and over.
Sure.
What is it from the next 100 years? I don't know.
Yeah. 100 years of men in love. Now with women.
Right. That's right. The thruple that you
Thruples. Yeah.
But I know that they're starting to focus in on military.
Yeah.
I know we have a section in the TV special
of
military, but they're kind of focusing in more. I mean, first of all, 3,700 pictures. I had to cull them down to 300.
Yeah, I want to ask about that too, because that's crazy. But I don't want to blow past the Biden initiative that was signed, because when I'm critical of our government, it's because Congress is like stamping their feet, blah, blah, blah. And especially if you've been in Congress for more than 8 minutes, and like you're allowing the Supreme Court to do your job for you, do your damn job. You guys legislate, write the legal things that make these things, protect it, right? And then if it doesn't work, then we go through the courts. Let's not do it backwards, because they won't all get along, and it aggravates the crap out of me. This is not an indictment of Democrats or Republicans. It's an indictment of that body. Like, do your job. Abortion. All right. If it's important to us as a nation, do your damn job, And so I'm glad to see that they did their damn job for once, and President Biden signed it. And no matter what, that can't be taken away now. Like that's an accomplishment. Maybe legally someday somebody does. I'm not talking about that, but that accomplishment is there, and it's overdue. I mean, love is love, and you want to protect it and get married. Then let's do that. Let's all be for that.
Sounds good to me, Pete. That's good to me.
Okay. I was going to get back to the other part of this thing. Oh yes, the collection, right? 3,000, and you could have gone a lot faster with the pictures and slid in another 100. So you found a pace, and you found those pictures. Also, you're delicate with these things. You don't just go throwing tintypes around. Talk about getting into that body of work and being respectful to it, and also making the painful decisions on which set of powerful eyes you're going to show.
It was painstaking, because I fell in love with each picture.
Right.
And then the ones that ended up in the film, my editor, Billy Clift, and I fell in love with even more, going through them over and over. We had names for each couple. Oh yeah, Bob and Harvey, and this and that. We would call them names. So we know exactly what we're, and then lining them up in a through line that started with, let's look at the eyes, and let's look at body parts touching. Let's look at umbrellas. Let's look at all the different scenarios that go through. Finally, obviously, kissing. You can't discount a kiss. I mean, somebody who who kisses and takes a picture of it. That's
Yeah.
pretty right on.
Yeah.
There's not
Yeah.
guessing.
I'm going to push his camera back for a second so everybody can see. That's
Oh,
what he's
yeah.
talking about right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's what you're looking for, right? And
That is the last note or beat of the film that we go to kissing, and that's very purposeful. You cannot deny what's going on there.
thanks to my union cameraman for that great shot. You make us wait for the kissing, and it really is like the through line is incredible. And I know you know how to write, but this doesn't to me seem like a screenplay or a teleplay. You had to write this, I think, in a totally different way. That's my assumption.
Well, yeah. I mean, to do a documentary, you feel I've done a lot of storytelling, and that's a whole beautiful art process in itself. But I listen to the pictures basically, and I listen to what those gentlemen were capturing and what they spoke, how that spoke to me. And then we just escalated it, like I said, from looking at the look in the eye to maybe a foot touching or an eye touching, and moved it right on up to the kiss.
Yeah,
the kissing section.
That whole thing, though, again, this is like a giant funnel, 3,500 pictures. Plus, you got to get, the curators of this collection in there, right? And you got to have them in. It is a lot of stuff, but you did this in a tight hour, basically. Like
it's 57 minutes. I wanted to get in and get out. As a creator, as a filmmaker, I never want our audiences to get bored.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not there to bore people. We're
right.
there people to. We're there to have people ask questions, to want more.
Right.
I think the addition of the gay authors, the quotes about love, was significant. Also gave a dimension that people write about love, and these people were taking pictures about love.
And you're not picking like little baby authors. You're picking some of the biggest names ever in the history of the literate works, right?
And they're all gay too.
Right, they're all gay, right? and of course, right? Of course, you have that element. But again, you're talking tens of thousands of words. And so, did you already have these in your heart, or
no? I went out searching for them. I got in the zone, and looked at my personal life and what was responding to me, and I thought that those authors and those words were the words. And I think there's a beautiful flow of what the quote and then the picture looks like, and how it goes in the film. It's a beautiful ride, and I'll tell you something, Pete. Obviously it's a baby. Each film project is your baby, but I never get tired looking at my baby.
Yeah.
I mean, when it shows at a film festival or on here TV, it's just you find. And I've had other friends say, "Oh my God, David, I've seen this a couple times now. I keep finding new things.
Yes.
I keep seeing new things.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the story is in the picture.
Yeah.
And you get 350 stories instead of a story form, which you get one story.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a magic to what you've created as each picture comes out. First off, how many pictures make it how many photos make it into your film?
350.
350. So about 10%.
Yeah.
Okay. And then as the pictures come up, you really, it's so engaging. Like, this is not a phone where you watch, or a picture where you watch over your phone. Like, because a lot of look, I'm going to be a little harsh. Some scripted stuff, when you're my age, I've seen it. Well, this was a Happy Days episode that you've rejiggered into whatever. And so it's not that it's not enjoyable, but it doesn't require your film requires direct attention, because those eyes, those images, all of these things come out, and the way you put it all together, it's just. I encourage. Look, I'm talking to the camera, but I encourage everybody to go watch this movie, because it really is engaging. It's not. I love documentaries, but it's not the black background, light on the face thing. This is different. And these photos, you could have held those shots longer per photo even. Don't you think?
I love that you're saying that, because I know that now you really look at the pictures and you want more.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's something to bringing your audience to the point where they do want more.
Sure.
I didn't want to overstay my welcome.
You do a marvelous job at that.
Right. Thank you. I the in bed segment.
Oh my gosh,
is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are fully clothed, but they're in bed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, how did that ever come about?
Right.
You know, that I'm spooning this guy and we both have our clothes on. Okay.
Yeah.
Love.
Love.
You know? It wasn't about sex. It wasn't about, you know, flesh and skin. It was about love.
I love love. It makes me so happy to talk about it. The different angles of love, and like love from this way, love from that way, love from unexpected place. Like there are just so many different angles, and you see a lot of this in the film. There's like the love for the girls that stand behind the guys on the beach. That's a different kind of love, right? And there's love, there's a protection in that. And so there's just a lot of different angles and way to look at love. It could even be the guy who says queer as a duck. That might even come from a place of love, you know, where there's comfort, you know.
Who knows?
Who knows, right?
I interpret, you know, just like an actor, I interpreted that line.
It
was written there on the back of the page, you know, your dad says that they're queer as ducks. You know, maybe he was like, they're queer as ducks.
Yeah.
Well, I just love that.
Yeah. And maybe the next line his dad says that doesn't make it on the thing is like, but I love those. I love those fuckers. Yeah. They're the greatest guys ever.
By the way,
you know?
Are ducks queer?
I don't know.
Where did that come? We talk about history. Where did queer as ducks come?
Who knows? And where did it go? No one says that anymore. Yeah. Yeah, that's remarkable. So I want to go back to the love thing. That's what the movie's about. And you look at all of the images as they come across, and you have these, like, you're desperate to see more of these people, and you're like, but what happens? What's next? You have this just unresolved. It's not, well, it's tension, but it's not a negative tension. It's like musical tension, right? Where it's just unresolved. You're like, yeah, but what happens? Did they get married? Did they, you know?
You know what I hope what happens next is all these expressions of love. Like I said before, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Every gentleman is dead. What I hope happens next is an audience watches this film and says, you know what? Time's wasted here. I better love.
Yeah.
I better go out and love. I better go out and be authentic with what I want in my life.
Yeah.
And who I want to love. And I think it's actually a call to action. These guys did it. They did it over 100 years ago, and they did it well.
Yeah.
Because they stood up and captured their love for posterity. Now I think the call to action is for us as an audience to say, they did it. They're dead. Let's go out and love before I'm dead.
Yeah.
I think it's a call to action. I think it's a very joyful, better get out there and do some loving, you know?
I agree, man. One of the quote, and I'm just going to paraphrase Paul, this is the Apostle Paul, but he says, you know, like light scatters all dark, love scatters all hate.
Oh,
wow. You know,
give that to me. Light.
If light scatters all dark, right? It just brushes it away. Love scatters all hate. Oh, nice. And you just think about that, and you're like, yeah. And you know, it's easy to say, and I try to say, like, I default to love. You know, you say something nasty towards me, I'm going to do my best to chew on the part that wants to spit back, you know, bad stuff, and I'm going to come back and say, I believe in you, or whatever it is, right? And try to. You don't got to be perfect at it, but time's a wasting. Let's get to love, right?
It reminds me, I did a film, Gods and Monsters, which was up for 3 Academy Awards, and we won one for adapted screenplay. But I played Sir Ian McKellen's doctor, and in the film, and Sir Ian McKellen during that time, he said, Dave, you know, I got into acting because of the pretty boys. I went with the pretty boys, you know. So he was a young guy in London. But then he said his activism is whenever he's in a hotel room. You know how their Bibles. And you reminded me because you're talking about Bible verses. He said, I go in. You know, sometimes there's a Bible on a nightstand or whatever. Yeah. He goes in and he rips out that page in Leviticus that says, "Man should not lie with other men." He just rips that page
Edits
out.
it. Yeah.
And that is his own form of activism.
Yeah, that's
which is fun.
hilarious. I love that dude. He's always great when he's on Graham Norton. He's just a riot. So we were talking before about like what was next, and you started talking about what the film and everything, but that longing to know what happens to these couples, and some of them you have some resolution for, but so many of them it's just up to your
the two military, the military
right.
couple up
Yeah.
in South, because of the nephew still wears the ring.
Yeah,
that's in the picture.
That's an incredible statement, for that nephew to have that, and
can't you just see, this older gentleman getting up, in his closet, bringing
yeah,
his shoebox and opening up, and here, nephew, here, look at the life I had,
yeah,
the love I had. And unfortunately, we divulge this in the film, is that the other lover, the other part of the military couple had died.
Right. The timing of World War II, you're going through all of this hardship again, and there's time for love and war. I mean, heck, my daughter's mother, like, we get along great. We were in love. We fell in love in Bosnia, a couple army people. So it is interesting that around all of this stuff, I mean, you're about to walk into Dachau, and everything else, but there's also this person that you can't wait to either be with, look at, touch, talk, eat a meal with. I don't know if they work side by side all the time, but you're desperate to get back to this person, even though you're going to the worst possible moment in humanity, and there's still love.
I mean, you're a soldier, so let's ask, the immediacy of either you're going to die or you're going to live another day. What does that bring up to the person that's in the foxhole right next to you?
Yeah, it's that's a good question, and I would say you're so busy a lot of times. There isn't a whole lot of time for love. There's like, it's in the back. You got to do maintenance on what's available there, because we don't fight that kind of fight like in a foxhole fight, where you're like stuck outside. Yeah, right. But it's always in my mind, and also there's different kinds of love too. There's the love that's like, I love these people that I'm working with, or in my case, I love these villagers so much. I've got to figure out how to get their message, their plight, their story, because we don't need to make their lives harder. We're actually here to make their lives better if possible. How do we do that better? And so I would say that the love part can be a lot of different things. There are certainly couples that are formed in combat zones, everything. I never did that in the modern fights. Bosnia, yes, but after that, for me, it was mostly all business. But there is just a longing for certain things that you don't have: sushi, fellowship, friendship, love. And you do look at the people, like my job especially is like, I have to protect people. And if I don't put myself in danger to get access to people and things and knowledge, then I'm not doing my job. And you can't just do that out of bravado, because that doesn't pay the bills. You have to do it from other emotions. And I am looking for emotions. And so if I can find love, even if it's a shadow of love expressed towards me, I'm like, oh, there's love. How do I take that emotion? Yeah. And I'm like, there's something there. And I try to draw it out.
I had a director that fought in war in Vietnam. And I asked him, because I'm fascinated by this, and your journey is certainly different. I've never experienced that. I asked him, I said, how did you get through Vietnam? And the horrors of the jungle, and all that went on there. And he said, every day I put on cologne.
Yeah.
Why cologne? He said, because it reminded me sensorially that there is, just get on a plane, on a helicopter, there is another world that's going on right now.
Yeah.
And not in this jungle.
Yeah.
And that really spoke to me. Yeah, I played a psychotic Marine in a film.
Figures.
Hemingway called In Her Line of Fire. Right. And I know the director before we shot it down in New Zealand, and for the director, I auditioned and I was going to go. And he said, I don't see you as a psychotic Marine. And I said, you know what? I'm an actor. I see myself with a jarhead haircut, with tattoos. I'm going to build up my body. I have time to work out and this and that. We got down there. I did my first shot running through the jungle. I had my jarhead haircut, I had tats on. I was ripped. The director said, Oh yeah, I've got my psychotic.
Yeah. Everybody needs a good psychotic Marine. um, Going back to this love thing and in combat, when you look at normalcy and everything, right? I had a lady in my show called Sasha Hayes. She focuses on the females in these zones, right? Whether they're fighting or in her case, whether they're just, the folks who end up in refugee homes. And these are hard women who pick up their families and they run from danger and they survive in and amongst danger, all these things. And what her experience tells her is that if they can just get access to a brow waxing or a brow threading or a lipstick or anything, they can hold the rest together. But they just want to look and feel like a woman, And it's those little things,
Like the cologne.
Yeah.
I produced another show called Girls Voices Now, which we won. I won an Emmy for last year, where we give cameras to underrepresented little girls, 13 through 18. We match them with female mentors, and we say, "Go shoot your stories. Go tell us about your lives."
Right.
So last year, little Mayron, her film, and I put them together in a series, and her story was about wearing a hijab, and she's Muslim, and what that's like to be bullied and laughed at. And right before the Emmy telecast, she was like, "Oh, David, we'll never win. We're up against Disney. We're up against Sesame Street. My story will not matter.
Yeah.
My story will not matter. I didn't even want to be on camera to tell my story." I go, "Aaron, whatever is most personal is universal."
Yeah.
So when we won over Disney and Sesame Street for a little girl telling her story about wearing hijab, she obviously broke down in massive bawling, this and that. But that shows you how personal. The more personal something is, the more universal it is, because we all have hijab. We all have something that we're not comfortable with and that we have to face every day. This year, I learned from these young women.
Yeah.
Do you know what period poverty is?
No.
Period poverty. As I said, these are underrepresented little girls from low-income families. They're women, they're girls that don't have the money to buy feminine hygiene products.
Yeah.
What in my world did I ever know about that?
Yeah.
So they bring back these personal stories.
Yeah.
I didn't know about period poverty, but now I know. And by being inclusive, and again, here TV is about inclusivity, bringing stories that we haven't heard before to light. And that's what it's about. Because basically we are all the same people.
What?
We're just dressed up in different spacesuits.
Yeah.
Ours say that we're male.
Yeah.
Women are dressed up in a female, and
Right.
then there's transgender and cisgender and different spacesuits. But when we get right down to it, we're all the same entity. We're all the same.
Yeah.
We all have these hijabs on us.
Right. Yeah,
love is the same. Back to this film.
Love is the same, right? Yeah. Stop trying to judge love, because love's gonna scatter that. It's too powerful. Bono says love is bigger than anything in its way, and he's right. Rob Bell, same thing. He's like, there's nothing more powerful than love, And these are guys that study the human condition deeply, and they come back with these great philosophical notes. I'm just gonna go with what they say until someone can prove otherwise, because
and my take on it, they say how to be beautiful. How do you be beautiful? And just if you look at the word, be you to the fullest.
I love it. Yeah.
Be you to the fullest.
Yeah.
So if you are you to the fullest, that means you're authentic. And you're loving who you want to love, and you're expressing how you want to express. Be you to the fullest. That's how you be beautiful.
Whenever anybody says authenticity, it's because it becomes a buzzword, and you're not saying it like that, because when someone says you have to be authentic, that's inauthentic. Don't be authentic.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Right. Like be you. Yeah. Right. And learn
to the fullest.
To the fullest. Right. That's what and you're saying the same thing in your own incredible way. I love the beautiful part. So how does someone become comfortable with that? And we look at the subjects of your film and their ability to be themselves, even if just for a moment, even if it cost them a month's pay or whatever it cost in 1870 to get a picture taken
Or
and to sit
imprisonment,
still.
or
Oh my
imprisonment,
gosh. Yeah. What pictures or images or themes? Because there must have been other themes you noticed in the 3,700 pictures. Like you could make this film again. You could not use any of those 300 something films or pictures, and you could be like,
Take
boom.
350 more.
Right,
Then
right.
I'd be up to 700.
Yes, yeah. So
I'd still have 3,000 more.
and you could still make another one
Yeah.
because these stories are rich, and maybe it isn't a movie about man and love, but maybe it is from a different angle, and there's a different theme. So did any themes not make the film and end up on the cutting room floor, or where were the really hard cuts for you?
Yeah, I feel like I didn't leave any stone unturned,
Okay.
other than 3,000 other pictures.
Yeah, lots of
I
rock.
felt like we really told the story in the photos that we chose, because overall the story is love,
Yeah,
but the different contexts and the different views and the different feels of each picture. I think obviously there were more that I wanted to do, but that would, no one's going to sit through a 4-hour movie. I wanted to get in and get out. And
but do you have a longer cut? And you're like, you know what? I do have another. No, you don't have another 30 minutes in you. No, okay, good.
it's lean and mean.
It is lean and mean.
And impactful.
It is impactful.
So, yeah. If it inspires other people to search out more pictures and make their own film, good.
Yeah,
we
good.
need more love. We need more authentic representations.
I love it. You guys can see. Look at these Emmys over here. This guy doesn't mess around. He does great projects. What is next for you, man? What do you got teed up for us?
Well, we're doing a 4th season of Girls' Voices now, which we won one of those Emmys for. I've got a kickboxer film that I've written.
Okay.
And
it's about Lane Dauber?
What?
It's about Lane.
What's interesting about the kickboxer film is that our audiences at Here TV, Here TV is kind of like gay HBO. We produce amazing projects of our own, but then we also acquire films from across the world, European films. It's just the best in cinema. This film is about a kickboxer, and he's a kickboxer that does good work, and they're ninjas and this, and he has to fight. He's matched up with a female, older kickboxer. But our audiences will know that he's gay. He's not gay in the film at all. He's a kickboxer.
Yeah.
But for young people to say and see a film like, wow, I know him in his real life because he's the top MFA fighter in the world, and he just happens to be married to a man and he's gay. That's revolutionary to our audiences, because that young person could say, you know what? I can be gay, and I can be a star in an action film.
I used to be a Captain Morgan model in Las Vegas. And so whenever they needed Captain Morgan, they'd go to Diageo. They would say, hey, you're Pete in Vegas, go do it. And with that came, I'd be a drink model in general for other events. And some of those other events were gay rodeo and pride. And there was me and another gay dude. I'm not gay, but me and another gay dude would team up, and he would go work the crowd and have a ball, right? But we often lose sight of, like, we see like the caricature of a gay man. But when I'm in the gay cowboy bar in Las Vegas and for gay rodeo, these are dudes. And I mean, like dudes, not like, oh, that's a dude. No, these are actual like cowboy badasses.
Right.
You would never in a million years know that these guys were gay, right? They're just right there. They're just people.
That hits on a very interesting point, Pete. I'll tell you. We always feel that the straight medium, TV and film, they define us one way that they stereotypically most of the time, the way they want us to be seen.
Right.
And that's not to say that those stereotypes are alive, because comedy is stereotypical. But Here TV prides itself by showing gay people the way they literally are, because our stories, our movies are written and directed and produced and acted by authentically open gay people.
Yeah.
So that's revolutionary because we get to define ourselves the way we are because we are just like everybody else.
Yeah. The one of the lesson I pulled out of that was that I got to be the sexy drink girl for about an hour in my life, right?
The sexy
drink girl, you know, the model who like hands out the shots, who's the waitress and everything, because we're giving out samples of alcohol.
right.
And so I got my ass grabbed. I got propositioned and all those things. And even though my partner's like, oh, Pete's not in our team, you know, that made it all much more fun for in all these different situations. And there's nothing negative in that. I'm just saying that I got exposed to being like, I'm desired and in a way that I'm just working here, you know?
Yeah.
And nobody was all that bad. Most of it was, yeah, I mean, it gave me a real awareness for the kind of animal I probably have been at different times, and my friends are, you know, and that's really what I got from it. Like everybody's there for a party, and I know I'm going to a party, so I'm not too bent out of shape, and I'm not putting anything on that. I'm saying for me, I'm like, oh, okay, these girls that have to wear these tiny outfits to work, you know, I need to have a little more respect for the fact that, yeah, like these are single moms getting paid money because they're attractive and they're putting these clothes on. It doesn't give anybody the right to, you know, do whatever. And they're also trying to like create a mystery, you know. And
Mystique.
Yeah.
Hugh Hefner did a very good job of that.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how did it make you feel flattered a little bit too?
I mean, everybody wants to be attractive, of course. Yeah. And honestly, a lot of it was jocular. It was like, hey, here's the straight guy, you know, and there was some fun in that. And you know, they were all great about it. Everybody was fantastic. It would be the 2 or 3 nights of the year when I would make the most money because people couldn't stop stuffing money in our pockets. So that was great. But my point was just like the reversal of roles was very illuminating for me as a person on how I could be a better person. Hey, let's wrap this up. What do you want to get my camera back over on me? What do you want to ask me about? What do you want to cover before we wrap it up? We got, I don't know, 5 or 6, 10 minutes, whatever you want.
Well, I would just encourage people to check out 100 Years of Men in Love, accidental collection. I think it's a broad statement of a very specific love. And just like my story about Girls' Voices Now, if we get very specific and very personal, then we realize that it's universal and we're all the same and love is love. I feel that might be the main message of this film, other than it's just enjoyable. It's a beautiful history lesson. It's a beautiful history of what was, and we stand on those people's shoulders because now we can activate our own love and be prideful of that. That's the message of this film, I feel.
Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to, curated by yours